I'm Kimberly Lavelle at yourparenthelp.com, where I teach parents how to provide a high-quality education for their children at home. And this week we are talking about some strategies for teaching counting, addition, and subtraction, simple addition and subtraction. Basically things within 100 for counting, addition, and subtraction. We've previously talked about the procedure of going from concrete to pictorial to abstract. So if you haven't gone over that, go back to that video and watch that, because that kind of goes into why and all of that. But the most of our time when we're teaching a math concept should be in concrete and pictorial, and then linking it to abstract, but the focus should be on making sure that the child understands really deeply about the objects they're holding, the things that they're seeing, what they can touch and feel and know exists in real life, making things very real for them. So just some quick examples that I have here of things that you can use for the concrete: blocks, toys, cereal, Lego, houses, like actual houses, as you look out the street, comparing how many are on one side of the street to another, or how many are on the whole street together. Number of trees that you see. You might count up all of the trees completely one day. The next day you might count how many are pine trees, and then to figure out, if you subtract, how many were not pine trees. Or you can kind of do something else where you count all the pine trees one day and then all of the other trees another day, and then what's the total number of trees, right, to make it an addition problem. So get creative with that. Everything in your environment, if there's more than one of them, can be addition and subtraction problem, and even if it's one, you could count. Oh, we only have one, or we have 0. How many purple elephants do we have? 0. Perfect. 0 is a hard concept for a lot of people. Okay, so also with the blocks, I was going to show, I have some different types of blocks here. So some are just cubes. I have 5 cubes, so we could count that. I have 3 that are rectangular prisms, so we could count that. How many altogether? Or if I'm just working on counting and we're not into addition yet, I would just count all the blocks together. So, but don't be afraid to introduce the concept of addition. You know, if your child can count to 5, they can start thinking about addition of 2 plus 1, right? I have 2 white blocks or squares, and I have 1 black square. So how much is that all together? They can count all together. So you can start introducing things pretty early on, as long as it's in the concrete where they're really understanding what's happening. You can even I'm not supposed to get into this week, but you can even start talking about multiplication if you think about multiples. If I had 2 groups of 3, I have 3 white and 3 black. How many is that all together? Well, they can physically count that, but they're also getting introduced to the idea of groups, multiples. So that's a really good one too. Okay, so those are some examples of concrete things that are in their environment, and I'm sure you can come up with a million more, because if you just look around the room you're in right now, I would challenge you to think of at least 5. Look around. 5 things that they can use for counting, for addition, subtraction. They're everywhere. It's all over the place. It's once you're looking for it, it's so easy. And it should be a part of your everyday. It shouldn't be, okay, we're going to sit and work on counting, addition, and subtraction now. It's going to be, while they're playing with blocks, you're working on it. While they're playing with Lego, you're working on it. While you're on a walk, you're counting houses or trees or animals or whatever. While you're cooking, while they're eating, how many apple slices, right? Just in their everyday life. They're just always counting, always adding, always subtracting. It's just normal. Do make it fun, and also just model it. Say, oh, I want to count how many houses there are, and then just start counting, right? It doesn't have to be an assignment every time. You don't have to tell them to count. Make sure you count. No, just be fun, model it, get them involved in it, but don't make it super serious. Okay, so those are some examples of concrete. I wanted to show you an example of pictorial that is not a worksheet. There are a lot of books that you can use for counting. Now this one is specifically Anna's counting book. It's designed for counting. But any book that has some detailed pictures, a lot of times you can use for counting. And there are a lot of other counting books. I happen to really love this one. At last I knew it was out of print, and I actually got this one as a hand-me-down in excellent condition. I'm super excited about it. But all I wanted to say was, anytime you've got some really nice art in a book, you can be counting the objects in the picture and adding one object to another. So in this picture, I might add the number of windows in different houses. So I would count up how many windows are in this house and add them to how many windows are in this house. Okay? If I wanted to get a little bit. Or if I want to do something easier, I might count how many women there are and how many men there are and add those together. So depending on where your child is at. You'll notice they have this lovely blocks here and then the numeral on the other side. And it's just an awesome book. I wish that it was still in print. Maybe it'll come back. So that's an example of pictorial that you can be doing in real life. And anytime you're reading a book, if you happen to notice that the pictures are really have a lot of good details and there might be multiple of something and multiple of something else that would make sense to add together or just make sense to count straight, do that. Just stop while you're reading and do that. Or go back to it and say, you know, I saw this great picture with all these fish. I want to go back to it and bring that in. Because, again, the more it's not about sitting down to do something, the more it's just going to be in them, right? You don't have to have a whole bunch of worksheets to prove that they learned how to count and add and subtract. Please don't think you do. Okay, so I want to show you then just a quick example of some pictorial worksheets and abstract worksheets. They're just simple examples. I do like these pictorial add and subtract worksheets. I always look for things that combine the pictorial with the abstract so that we're making that link. You can also do this if you have a whiteboard or a chalkboard or a piece of paper. When you're adding and subtracting in real life, if you had objects that your child counted and added, you can underneath write it on a whiteboard or a piece of paper or whatever, write out what that equation is. That's 2 plus 3 equals 5. And you do the whole fact family of 5. You might also do 5 minus 2 equals 3. So just trying to bring all of that in. I love having a little whiteboard so that I'm not like always wasting paper all the time, but I don't know how much better it is really because I throw away the markers all the time. So chalk is better, but it's kind of messier. So do what speaks to you. Having something on hand though that you can just work on all the time is very helpful. Okay, so talk about counting, addition, subtraction. One note I want to make, because I have the worksheets here for addition and subtraction and they've got 25 problems on them. Please do not ever ask your child to do 25 problems in one sitting, unless they want to. Some kids love it and they're like, give me more, give me more, give me more, because they get excited and they want to do a whole bunch. That's fine. They can do as many as they want, but I would not require it. At most, I would stop at 5, and I hesitate to say I would require any because I don't ever want it to be a battle of you have to do your work. We always want learning and education to be fun. So I would try to make all of this as fun and engaging as possible. I definitely would not try to do any more than 5 in a sitting, maybe 5 across a whole day, like 1 before breakfast, 1 after breakfast, whatever. We don't want it to be a big to-do. I hope all of that made sense and was helpful. If you go to yourparenthelp.com, you can see all of the videos that I have done. You can also subscribe to the weekly emails if you aren't doing that already, and then you'll know every time I post a new video, which is every Monday at 12:34. I hope you have a fabulous week, and I will see you again next week.